यू टर्न से मिर्ची एफएम पर रफ्तार में मैं आपके हम सफर साथी कृष्णील शामिल हो चुका हूं और फिजी में विदेश में आप जहां कहीं पर भी हमें सुन रहे हैं, कृष्णील का प्यार आप तमाम दोस्तों तक पहुंचे। हेलो गाइस, मैं हूं डीजे कृष्णील। आप हमें सुन सकते हैं मिर्ची एफएम रफ्तार में मंडे टू फ्राइडे शाम 3 से लेकर रात 7 तक हम आपको रॉक कराएंगे। मिर्ची एफएम, इट्स हॉट।
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. The Reserve Bank of Fiji says the successful transition to parliamentary democracy will raise business and consumer confidence further over the coming year. In its latest review, the RBF says the Fijian economy is on track to achieve the 3.8% growth forecast for this year. Governor Barry Whiteside says consumption and investment spending by businesses and households continues to be firm, while sectoral performances of sugar and tourism have exceeded expectations. However, there are a few challenges moving forward. These are continuous higher growth in imports relative to exports and the prolonged weakness in the global economy. Domestically, the ongoing drought is also a cause for concern. The Prime Minister has branded people from political parties and certain churches who create racial barriers as un-Christian people who are liars without any principles. Vorengem Bainimarama is still fuming over an overtly political letter written by a reverend of the Methodist Church a few days before the elections that called upon the Methodist congregation to shun the inclusive principles of the government of the day and instead to support the principles of Sadelpa. Watisoni Raikandroka reports the blatant political stand by the church comes despite repeated assurances by the church that it won't play any part in politics anymore.
The Prime Minister's dislike of religious organization being politicized is well known. The Methodist Church's historical involvement in Fijian politics led to the banning of the church's annual conference for a number of years. But with recent assurances by the church hierarchy of giving up political involvement, the relationship began to thaw. That is until the emergence of this letter a few days before the elections that amongst other things called upon the congregation to not vote for any party that wants a secular state. The letter also says the church is concerned about suspension of the GCC, the use of a common name, changes in scholarship distribution and other issues that were raised by Sodelpa in its campaign.
The church does not belong to them. The church belongs to Methodists like me, okay? To all the rest of the Methodists. They think they have a right to dictate us what to believe in. And believe in their rubbish.
The letter also says Itauke land is in danger and that the congregation should support the 1997 Constitution because the 2013 Constitution contradicts the Christian faith. The Prime Minister says these sentiments by the church are the same as Sodelpa's.
They want to take us back because they lie. They lie to the people of Fiji just as the Sodelpa people have lied during the campaign. Everything that the Sodelpa people lied about was in that letter instructing the congregation to vote for Suva. That's basically what the letter said.
In damage control mode, the General Secretary of the largest church in Fiji says the views expressed in the letter are theological and well-intended, but claims it was sent to the congregation without being vetted by the church hierarchy.
Our communication department was only revived last year, and as such departments are not used to having their communications vetted.
Not too long ago they said that we've moved away from politics. So again they lie. So they are nothing but a bunch of liars.
The church says it will be writing to the Prime Minister to explain itself. But it seems that any glimmer of hope of improving the start of a cordial relationship between the church and the newly elected government of Fiji may have been dashed by a church letter which calls for support of Sodelpa principles and disregard for the Fiji First government policies. Watisoni Raikandroka, FBC News.
The Fijian Elections Office will continue operating with about 40 permanent staff for the next 4 years. Elections Supervisor Mohammed Saneem says their focus now will be on capacity building and training of the staff. Shanal Sivan reports.
Now that the general election is over, staff at the Elections Office will have more time to prepare for another one in 4 years' time. Election Supervisor Mohammed Saneem says this year's election was prepared in just a few months.
The time now for the Fijian Elections Office is to do a quantitative assessment of exactly how things happen, what needs to be done for the next election, and what needs to be changed. The media has highlighted several events that were teething problems in this election, and we'd like to definitely ensure that those problems don't occur again.
The Elections Office is also looking at investing in an elections management software which is used by Australia and New Zealand, so the next election can be efficient.
There's bridge trainings that are happening, and the Fijian Elections Office will definitely look at that. So far in the country there is about 4 bridge facilitators, and that is not enough. One of them is only employed by us. The other is Samesa Karavaki, who would now become a parliamentarian, so I wouldn't expect him to be coming for any of our trainings, and therefore we will build capacity within the office to increase the number of bridge trainers and facilitators, and they will be going around doing this. And of course then there are all these international courses that are available for staff to do capacity building.
Salim also says they have enough money which will take them for the next 4 years. He adds there has been no notification from the Minister about the Elections Office role in preparing for municipal elections. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
The leader of opposition, Rote Mumukepa, says the opposition parties will meet next week to decide on a deputy leader. Rote Mumu was named opposition leader after meeting with the National Federation Party this week. Meanwhile, NFP leader Dr. Biman Prasad says it is not necessary to have a deputy, but it's the prerogative of the opposition leader. NFP has 3 seats in opposition, while SODELPA has 15 seats. The first sitting of Parliament is expected to be on the 6th of next month. The Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation organised a function this afternoon to welcome the new Minister, Rosie Sophia Akbar. This was also an opportune time for the Ministry to farewell the outgoing Minister, Dr. Chico Luveni. Shireen Lata reports.
Staff members of the Ministry thanked Dr. Chico Luveni for her 7 years of service to the Ministry. Luveni says she has been overwhelmed by the support from the staff. Luveni is the new designated Speaker of the Parliament. She says she has learnt a lot while serving the people. Her successor, Rosie Sophia Akbar, also acknowledged work done by Dr. Luveni. Akbar says she will carry the ministry's vision forward. Akbar is one of the 3 women in the new cabinet. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
After the break, former Sunflower Airlines has new owners.
It's now 6 o'clock right here on Big Breakfast, Today FM, today's hit music.
Hey, I'm Pauline.
And I'm Alan. Tune in to the Breakfast Show on Today FM with Pauline and I every weekday morning.
From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Today FM, today's hit music.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Water Authority of Fiji will consider water rationing if a need arises, and it will advise customers accordingly. WAF Chief Executive Officer Opete Ravai says the water catchment in Waimanu is now the main source of water by a large margin, and this is the result of the drought. Watisoni Raikandroka has more.
Water levels in the Waimanu River and the Savura stream have reduced significantly over the past few months.
You can see from the level at the side of the pump station that it has really dropped.
The Water Authority is building a coffer dam to protect the pumps.
Yes, you want to barricade it, and there are a lot of systems out there. Inflated bags, so when there's a flood, we can drop the bags and let the water flow. But in these kind of times, we can raise it.
Ravai says the Waimanu River is a good source of water, but it needs power to generate and move water to the Tamabo plant.
Currently, our transformer cannot run 4 pumps all at once, the power here. So we needed to hire this generator, and like I said in the Middle East, it's costing us about 120,000 a week, the generator and the fuel to run it. We look at building up the power capacity here at the plant, so to be more permanent, so we can run 4 pumps at any time.
Affected areas such as Slami is directly related to the amount of water that can be pumped from the catchment in Waimanu into Tamabua. However, the water being delivered by 4 pumps is sufficient for the time being. Watisoni Rekanroka, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama was overwhelmed by the support shown to him in Nandi after he was hosted to a surprise Thanksgiving function at Nandi Airport last night. After the event, Bainimarama left for the US and is expected to address the United Nations General Assembly later this week. A small crowd of well-wishers gathered at the airport to congratulate him on his successful elections campaign. Bainimarama says they enjoyed strong support for Fiji First from the West.
We're ready to depart on our first trip overseas, and a very important trip for us, and that is to go to New York and speak at the United Nations General Assembly and tell the international community of what we've done in Fiji, not only in the last 8 years, but especially in the last 2 weeks or so.
Bainimarama will return next week and the new parliament will convene on October 6th. The owners of Skydive Fiji and Helitours have taken over Sunflower Aviation in an undisclosed transaction. The acquisition follows the failed attempt by Inter-Island Airways to complete the purchase last year. Christopher Chand reports.
Activities in this hangar at Nandi International Airport will go up another notch with a revival of Sunflower Aviation. This time they have new owners. Tim and Susan Joyce are taking over the family business previously owned by the late Don Collingwood.
Very encouraging, the stability that I think the country's getting now as a result of the recent elections, and hopefully that'll give a boost to the whole economy, which will flow onto aviation.
The cost of the acquisition has not been revealed. However, Joyce is confident the big investment will pay off in the long run. He started Skydive Fiji in 2004, adding his helicopter business in 2009. Joyce took over the management of Sunflower Aviation in April this year and completed the purchase in July. Now he has plans for the future.
We have applied for scheduled services for particularly Pacific Harbour, because we see that as an area that needs to be opened up and has a requirement, and also in the Mamanuthas.
There are plans to include a helicopter training school to add to the already famous Pacific Flying School at the hangar. Joyce Aviation is starting small, but they have already set themselves big goals in a sector that is going through one of the toughest periods in its history. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
5 medical practitioners from the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons are in the country to operate on children with birth-related disabilities. The team's visit to the CWM hospital in Suva is funded by the Australian government through a regional health program. Savarat Tambua has more.
Some of the more common abnormalities that children are born with are genital urinary problems.
Children who are born with problems which have happened before they are born. So once they are born, we find out about the problems, and then we do complex surgeries to fix those problems.
While this team is conducting surgeries for local children, they are also upskilling Fijian doctors to be able to carry out the same procedures.
With visiting team like ours, we can do complex surgeries with local pediatric surgeons, and it serves the purpose of transferring our skills to local surgeons who would then become independent and do all these things on their own.
This is the first time for this surgical team from overseas to conduct operation in his new theatre, where more than 50 children under 15 years of age are under observation. 2-year-old Johnny Raunindalo from Teilebu is one lucky child who was operated on by the overseas team. He was born with an imperforate anus, which meant he couldn't pass stool. His mother, Cecilia Murphy, became emotional as she told FBC News the hardships her young son has had to live with.
Most of the time, I can't bear people looking at my son due to the condition he is living with. But now we are really fortunate that my son is under observation.
Parents of children who needed similar operations can seek advice from this until Friday. Sabira Tabua, FBC News.
And it's Friday Night Sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Good evening. Coming up, great news for female participation in male-dominated sports, with Oceania Football hosting workshops for women to manage and administer football clubs and events, while Fijiana Sevens look to build on player base ahead of Rio 2016. Stay with us for the details. यू ट्रेन से मिर्ची एफएम पर रफ्तार में मैं यहाँ आपके हम सफर साथी कृष्णील शामिल हो चुका हूँ, और फिजी में विदेश में आप जहाँ कहीं पर भी हमें सुन रहे हैं, कृष्णील का प्यार आप तमाम दोस्तों तक पहुँचे। हेलो गाइस, मैं हूँ डीजे कृष्णील। आप हमें सुन सकते हैं मिर्ची एफएम रफ्तार में मंडे टू फ्राइडे शाम 3 से लेकर रात 7 तक हम आपको रॉक कराएंगे। मिर्ची एफएम, इट्स हॉट। अब दिल करता है हौले हौले से मैं तो खुद को गले लगाऊं। The Telecom Fijiana rugby team is now looking at building its pool of players before the 2016 Rio Olympics in Brazil. Having qualified for the 2014-15 RB World Series, the team is currently working with a selected group of players for international outings. However, coach Ileasa Tanivula wants to have a bigger player base to recruit from in the future.
We get a wide player base. At the moment, we've just got a certain number of core players. And the really matured players, so I guess we've got to get the backup ready. We'll never know what happens in the next 2 or 3 years, but we've got to get a plan underway, try and develop the core group coming through. So hopefully they'll make it once they make it in the international stage.
The Fijianas will play in the Oceania tournament next weekend in Australia. In a bid to boost female participation in local football, a group of women underwent a workshop with the Oceania Football Confederation today to not only learn game techniques but also the overall running of football clubs and events. Josephine Navula has the details.
Women from various district teams have turned up to learn managerial and administration skills of football events. Conducting the workshop is OFC Women's Football Development Officer Nicola DeMain, who says the local women have a lot to benefit from the training. DeMain says the women will also learn about techniques of games and hopes they put it into practice. Meanwhile, Fiji women's coach Charlene Lockington says she is glad with the turnout. The workshop continues at the Fiji FA headquarters. Josephine Navula, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the Fiji Football Association has allowed its national coaches to assist district teams for the upcoming courts inter-district championships.
With the tournament starting next week, teams such as Mba, Lautoka, Tabua and Nandi have already made requests to the parent body for assistance. FA Acting Technical Director Ravinesh Kumar says they are willing to assist all teams that need help.
The districts have approached Fiji Football and some of the national coaches and the technical department staff to assist them during the IDC. So Mr. Patel with the board has decided that yes, FA will go and help through the coaches who need assistance.
The IDC gets underway on Saturday week. The Suva Marathon is gearing up to be a one-of-a-kind event. Scheduled for next week, the event is set to attract enthusiasts nationwide. This is the first time such a competition is being held, with close to 300 athletes expected to take part. Rohit Deo has more.
Disability has always been seen as a barrier for most people, but for some it's to an advantage. 6 participants with disabilities will take part in next week's marathon, and they have thrown a challenge to the other competitors.
Just want to say bring it, and I'll show the most of it. And don't look at our disability, look at the ability, because we all can achieve anything.
Another competitor, also in wheelchair, believes this event will be a testing ground for all his preparations. He is ready to show the country that despite what some may think, he can mix it with the best.
Every morning I normally go down from home, go around the Suva CBD and return. That's normally 20k going back. So I do that twice, morning and afternoon. So every day I do at least half a marathon or close to a full marathon. So this event that's coming up, it'll be a good opportunity for me to test my ability and time.
So it's all gearing up to be a fun-filled and exciting day for those putting themselves to test for the marathon. The 2014 Suva Marathon starts at 5:45 a.m. next Saturday. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Assistant Minister of Youth and Sports Ilyas Delana says there is a lot of work which lies ahead of them, particularly in the next 2 years. Delana says a number of sports will be taking part in international events in the build-up to the 2016 Olympics in Brazil.
Ahead of us to 2016 is the Olympics, and next year is the World Cup Rugby, 2015, and also the International Paralympic World Championships and all sports competition to the highest level. Preparing to the 2016. I'll work together with the Sports Commission, with the Fashion Oak. It doesn't matter which place I'll be, in the area I'll be exploiting, but my heart and mind always with sports. I'll do whatever I can do to support sports in the country.
He adds the ministry will be working hard in ensuring all teams are prepared well for international outings. South Sydney Rabbitohs captain John Sutton is confident his side can turn the tables against NRL defending champions Sydney Roosters in their semi-final clash this evening. The hard-running pivot is banking on young and upcoming players within the group to pull the Bunnies through to a final spot next weekend. The South Sydney Rabbitohs clash with the Sydney Roosters at 9:55 p.m. today, while the Penrith Panthers meet the Canterbury Bulldogs at the same time tomorrow. That is your sports for tonight. Have yourselves a safe weekend. Good evening.
The fish market is always a crowded corner in Lambasa town as people do their rounds to purchase fresh fish. But the vendors are not happy for being made to sell their produce from their current location. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports.
For most of the fish vendors in Lambasa, many have been selling their fish from this site for years. They have had to endure the heat of the sun and the rain, but many are happy to be selling from this location.
We had raised the issue with the Commissioner, Northern Inia Shiroiratu, back in 2011. He said the town council will be looking into it.
The fish vendors are now hoping that the Lambasa Town Council will be able to establish a place to accommodate them.
When it rains, we get wet, and we hope that the government will look into our plight through some assistance.
The Town Council have been promising us that they're gonna upgrade it, they're gonna do another market. Nothing has been happening.
I think the town council should work to establish a proper place where we can sell, from similar to that in Belly Bridge in Suva.
The Lambasa Town Council has confirmed that a new fish market will be built for the fish vendors.
The fish market, we are trying to plan a separate one. That is a council's own initiative, and we have some funding available with us, and very soon we are going to a fish market project.
Chand did not further elaborate as to where the fish market will be built. As for the fish sellers in Lambasa, they will now await the new market. Rosita Kote Wasawasa, FBC News.
Weather time now with the lovely Trish.
Why, thank you, Jackie. Let's take a look at today's conditions with the Frenil North, Savu the only center with cloudy skies and fine weather all throughout the day. As for the rest of the major centers, Nani, Lotokamba, Suva and Lambasa all had fine weather all day long. Now with temperatures, Suva, Nani, Savu 29, Lotoka hit 31, Ba 33, Lambasa 32 and Savu 29. Tomorrow's forecast, the same conditions as today. Folks do expect fine weather for all of the west. A chance for Suva and also Lambasa, except Savu might have fine weather and cloudy skies all throughout the day. For mariners, a strong wind warning remains in force for Vatuira Passage, Northern Vanua Levu and Yasawa waters. And also southeast winds 20-25 knots. And today's weather, weather picture today is from Wilson Chow. A beautiful afternoon here in the capital and a big bull of Naka to all the visitors on board the Rhapsody of the Sea berthed at Suva Harbour. If you have captured some scenery around the country and want to share them with our viewers, send them in to Citizens Eyes at fbc.com.fj.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. Recapping our main stories, the Reserve Bank of Fiji says the successful transition to parliamentary democracy will raise business and consumer confidence further over the coming year. The leader of opposition, Rotemu Mokepa, says the opposition parties will meet next week to decide on a deputy leader. And the Water Authority of Fiji will consider water rationing if a need arises, and it will advise customers accordingly. That's all for tonight. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News and FBC TV. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. I'm Rita Priyadashni, joins you from tomorrow with the weekend news. I'll be back on Monday. Till then, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Ni Modamanda.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. Beautiful song from the group Firehouse and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Before that, you heard from Smokey Robinson with One Heartbeat. We'll take a short break and join us in the next hour for more music from Seal. Bulabanaga. I'm DJ Tora. Join me every weekdays, 7 until midnight on the Premium Classics. Right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits.